Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Ascension messages. My name is Bobby Richardson, and I will be your guide for today. So today is Thursday, so we're going to be doing some channeling, and I also have some pre-messages that I've written down on my phone over the last week. So I will start with them, and then we will let the CYANIANS, Pleiadians, Acrturians come through. If anyone doesn't know what the CYANIANS are, they are beautiful beings that reside very close to Oneness, and they come and visited me and told me of this whole shift that was going to happen. So because of that, I then had another dream telling me their name, and I now accept them as part of my tribe, my guides. And they are Pleiadians that are high-end benevolent Pleiadians. They actually look like tall blue beings, very see-through-y kind of thing, like the universe is within them, but they can morph into spirit balls, they can morph into humanoids, and their ship is the same. Their ship can like morph into like whatever it projects, whatever we want to see, or what we're expecting to see, or it projects, or actually is spirit balls, energy traveling. So any case, there's a whole heap more to them. But if you want to know how I channel, there is a link down below to a video of how this all happened for me and why I channel the way I channel. So sometimes it might seem like I'm just talking, but I'm actually having a full-blown conversation within my mind as messages are pouring through me so that I can speak them to you. Sometimes I don't even know the actual word because my English, logically, I failed English terribly, and I literally have to look up the words. So I know it's not from my logic anyway, and what I remember, it's actually being fed through me, these messages. So let's get into this channel message. Hi, Cherie, good to see you. Hope your week has been well for you. Mine certainly has. There's always these ups and downs, as we always have, but overall it's been pretty fantastic and always learning, which is a great thing. Okay, let's get into what I've actually written down on my phone first. So these are actually really kind of cool. The first one that I wrote down was, compassion comes from knowing that the outside world is reflecting your inner. This is something that has to be understood in order to take back the reins of creating your world from your self-empowerment. So we think that, you know, if we move along in the spiritual world, then what's to say that if we're the only ones that are creating and all that sort of stuff, that we could just whimsically not care about the outside world and the people that are in it and all that sort of thing, because we keep on making excuses of ourselves of, well, who cares about them so long as I'm good, that sort of thing. But it's not like that. Compassion comes from knowing that the outside world is reflecting your inner. So if there's somebody that you love that's feeling terrible, or somebody that you've made feel terrible, that's on you as well. That's something that you have to deal with too, because whether it's you needing to put up more boundaries for yourself because that person's not in alignment with you and you're dropping your frequency down to theirs too much, or whether it's just that if you have been a negative person towards them, you have to take that. That's going to slap back at you as well, because always it's reflecting back. So compassion comes from knowing that our outside world is reflecting your inner world. This is how we actually start to move up in these higher frequencies, by taking back responsibility for what we're actually creating. Okay, the next message was, hi Sky, hi Sandy, hi Mark, good to see you guys. Humanity was sent into a downward spiral, which led them into lockdown from higher frequencies. This happened because of an imbalance where humanity allowed their mind to become more important than their soul. As they started to look for answers outside themselves, as their mind does, which gave their magnificence a backseat to trying to fit into other people's realities. They keep on, as I'm reading this, I'm seeing the whole Adam and Eve thing, biting into the apple. Like the apple is literally, okay, the outside world is more important. It's nurturing me than what my own inner self and knowing who I am is. They forgot about their soul and their connection to source energy or God, which gave them the ability to trust themselves, living in the moment with all of life. So they forgot about that. And they kept on all of a sudden thinking that outside of them was way more important. And that gave other people the ability to control them as well. Because then they're like, well, I'm not good enough within myself, so you must tell me that I'm good enough within myself. And this is the big shift that's happening in taking our power back. For humanity to join the rest of those living in higher love frequency, they must align first with knowing we are all part of an intricate web of soul alignments. These higher frequency soul alignments work in unity through one's self-mastery and in knowing all outside oneself is already understood within oneself. So in the higher frequencies, we have the benevolence that are working together as an intricate web of understanding that they are part of this wholeness. And it's not that they don't lose their individuality, especially within humanity's consciousness, because we have this amazing imagination, but there is this intricate web that happens of at least forming societies, forming a understanding of how to live in harmony with the planet, with each other. There's something that comes that gels together within each other of understanding each other because you understand yourself. So that's another big higher frequency that we're starting to move up into. And I just want to bring up before I go any further that another message when I sat down was let confusion take over, let peace within yourself come within yourself. We have to allow the confusion to just be, because it's kind of like embracing your confusion to let there be peace. Because we don't know all the answers that's going to actually happen. And that's something that needs to happen, because if we're trying to get all the answers, we're only using our mind. And if we're allowing ourselves to be fluent with understanding that there is this intricate web of connection and working together, the mind has to take a back seat to this feeling within us of being whole, and then allowing others to come in and reflect that wholeness that we have within ourselves. But for now, for humanity and where they are at right now, they're telling me to allow the confusion to just accept it, just be acceptance of that confusion. And not knowing all the answers, because it's when we just let it go and not knowing all the answers that we start to feel the answers. We start to understand more of an alignment. We start to actually feel into the intricate web of connection to each other. But it cannot come from the mind. So society and how it all works doesn't have to work from the mind and actually putting everything in its rightful place, which it cannot, because every human that we meet is in a different, what would we call that? Understanding of themselves. And so to be able to come together without having societal rules where everything has to be only in those rules, which actually mucks up the energy of the person that has something to give or something to withdraw from in the moment of how they're feeling, so that they can move and flow with each other. Because if we're told we have to specifically wake up in the morning and go to work at 9 o'clock and all that sort of thing, and it's specific that everyone has to do exactly the same thing, then that ends up being only a mind game, and it doesn't fit into how we're actually feeling. Where if we have a trust of how we're feeling, people will come and go, working on things action-wise when they're feeling like it, and having a rest when they're feeling like it, and it ends up becoming a much faster connection to be able to, alignment to be able to create, buildings, to be able to create businesses, to be able to create everything. We're in alignment, we're in trust, and not because we're in trust of anyone else, but because we're in trust of ourselves. So there's this real big switch around that they're telling me about now that will progressively become more aware in humanity's consciousness as we go along. But to at least bring it up at the moment is a big thing, because you cannot move towards something unless it's actually been spoken or brought up and understood in some way or another by at least a few. Okay. The next message is the universe, and I have brought this up once before, but we'll bring it up again because it's here. The universe is neutral. This is all on us and what we want to put ourselves through. So the universe is just neutral, and everything that we are collectively creating or individually creating is all on us. This is why they keep on saying we have to take responsibility for how we think, how we feel, and how we're moving through our life. And whenever there's an irk within our feeling, it's because there is a war going on within us between our minds and what our soul really says we need to do. And so then we get this real feeling, because we're separating ourselves further away from source or love of ourselves by trying to do something that our mind is telling us to do because society tells us to do. And we're not coming back into alignment of our soul and trusting that in that moment we're better off doing this other thing. When we trust that flow, that we're better off doing this other thing, and we're trusting each other as doing that as well, then we are all coming together. Action meets neutrality, meets rest and respite and receiving, and then action, and then we have this natural flow of web of communication. That's what they're talking about with these higher beings that are in these higher frequencies, how they actually work and flow with each other. They don't have a sense of trying to do something because the logical mind tells us it has to be specifically that way, because that can be going against the grain of the soul and what the soul needs to align themselves in that moment, and what the body needs as well in that moment, because their body might be saying to the soul, hey, I need a rest, or I need to move. But we're all conditioned through our mind to saying, see, that person's lazy because they're not doing enough. And it could be that for that year, they're in this process of transmuting themselves, of transformation. And with that, there needs to be a lot more neutrality and a lot more receiving within the person. But then when they come out of it, they know who they are, and they have this massive input into society, into the whole of the intricate web of how to live with Gaia and harmony and peace. So we can't be pointing a finger and judging other people on how they are acting. Usually if somebody is forcing themselves to take a rest because they're angry with the world or whatever, that's because they're already out of alignment with themselves anyway. And you'd feel that out of alignment when you're in a higher frequency. Oh, I see where they're at. They're actually fighting within themselves such a big war that they can't seem to move in this reality. Because if you're fighting, you're expending a lot of energy, even if it is within the mind. Yeah, so that's pretty full on. Hey Jason, good to see you. Mark, spot on. Our powers internal here now. Work remembering that meditation and neutral self, not for drama. Yes. Okay. To learn to know thyself. The next message was to learn to know thyself so that you know another with mind telepathy. Interesting. I think I was going to write a whole big thing there, and it's just a snippet, so I'll see what I can tap into with that one. It says to learn to know thyself so that you know another with mind telepathy. With telepathy. Okay, so well, I have to admit, the only way that I even was able to communicate with the elder that held my hand and we talked telepathically for over an hour, when that was happening, she went into this love frequency. She had to know herself fully to be able to connect with me as another soul, and then our minds could converse, or our feeling. It was more of a feeling. It wasn't like, it's like how they do with me now, how they channel with me. Well, it is the same thing. It's telepathy, it's channeling, same thing to me. It's a connection that comes through feeling, but you have to know thyself first before you can up level into becoming telepathic, or because it's like a connection of understanding, okay, I'm connecting to your soul, and your soul has this wisdom, where my soul has this wisdom. When we connect, we're sharing that wisdom, and then I disconnect, and I can take what I want of that wisdom with me, and the other person with them. So this is how we evolve without the mind, as in copy and pasting. And as a school will always do, you just got to keep on going over the same sort of thing so that you get it in your logical mind and keep it stored in your long-term memory. But a feeling or understanding of wisdom that really pours through happens instantaneously and drops instantaneously, and it's only the things that you decide you want in that moment that you want to bring forth or ground into this reality of who you are and accept within yourself. And there's always choice of what we want to allow in and what we don't want to allow in. We have that, but we have to know thyself to be able to do that, to choose the things that we want to bring in. Really important to know thyself anyway, because if you don't know thyself, your mind can be hijacked by others that don't have the best interests for you, and that's where those not so good beings would keep on talking in your head to try to. That what they're doing is they would talk in your head of do this, do this, do this, and they keep repeating it because they know that you trust your logical mind and what copy and pasted more than what you trust your feelings. So they can easily imprint you by repeating something over and over and over again, even if it's from an etheric place. They just keep on repeating it to you, and then you end up thinking it's you, because you don't realize that anyone else could give you that information of and change your thoughts, because you haven't aligned with trusting or knowing thyself. So when things years and years ago, I had something that happened, like I ended up being able to trust myself because I did have a pretty bad energy coming towards me, which was just reflecting the power or the lack within myself. And then later on, that being was trying to get into my dreams, and he was trying to change my mind and my thoughts, but because I knew myself, I kept catching him even in my dreams, because I'm like, no, this isn't me. I know this isn't me. So what is this? And then it showed up as an outside energy because I was sleeping in somebody else's house that had this energy that was trying to convince me of something, convince me that I was small and worthless and all that sort of stuff. And then I ended up taking the reins back to my own self, and I said, show me how I can get rid of this thing, for the benefit of all, always for the benefit of all. And they and my team came in then, because I knew I caught him, and my team came in and said, imagine a drum and just keep on hearing this drum. So they kind of, in my mind, I just kept hearing this big grandmother drum going boom, boom, boom. And because of that, they couldn't get past that loud boom, boom to be able to convince me of something else. So I was taking back my power. And then I ended up being able to shift the soul into something else so that they could, like anyway, it's a whole other story. But in any case, it's all to do with knowing thyself. Now, I know a lot of us that are watching now have done the shadow work, but sometimes these things do try to get in as we are doing the shadow work as well. And shadow work, it comes and goes, you know, nothing's in a linear line either. So they're bringing this up for something, for somebody out there that needs to hear it. So I'm bringing it up. But yeah, you can take back your power, and so that you don't have them in your head anymore, or your own thoughts. It can be coming from your own lack of self-awareness of your own thoughts too, and how we can change our thoughts or our neuron paths about ourselves as well. So constantly, whenever you come in with, I'm no good, and even I've done this a lot with myself, is I'm not that good, I'm not good enough. They keep on telling me to come back into central, into neutral, and then changing that neuron path by saying, I am beautiful, I am abundant, I am love, I am wise, and that sort of thing. Anyway, that went down a whole other place that I didn't expect. And the next message that I got here is whatever we are looking for outside ourselves is because we feel a lack of it from within. Therefore, it is within our own capacity to change those things we lack, while using what shows up for us outside of us as a mere reflection of what needed to be shifted. This is how we take back our power. This is how we start to understand that we're the ones that are creating our own reality. Because whatever we are looking for outside ourselves is because we feel a lack from it within. So if you're looking for love, you're looking for abundance, you're looking for all of that, it's because you're searching for it outside yourself because you don't feel it from within. But because of that, just because of that, means that it's up to you to change it. This is how you can change it. This is literally how you can change it. Because then you say, okay, I'm looking outside myself for something that I'm lacking within. So that means that there's only one person that can change that, nothing to do with finding it outside myself, which is only fleeting. Like you can find abundance outside yourself at any given moment, but it'll only be fleeting if you don't feel that abundant within yourself, if you don't feel like you're worthy of being here or worthy of having that. It will be fleeting. It will disappear real quick. It's only when you've already taken back your power and then the reflection comes back of that abundance or that self-worth, that all of a sudden you're up leveling your reality into a higher frequency, and it's matching what you already feel within you. So you have the stable bucket of your own self that matches outside, and that means that nothing can take it away from you, because even if that thing disappeared, it would fill in with something else being worthy of who you are, because you're already feeling that self-worth, and the universe being neutral will always reflect that self-worth of within you. So it has nothing to do with you trying to strive for it outside. They're bringing up the Adam and Eve story again, and that biting into the apple. They want people to realize that it was more to do with Eve, who was an inner person. The feminine side of ourselves started looking outside themselves for nutrients, for something, that because they forgot that they were that within themselves. They have the apple within. They're showing me the apple being the pineal gland. They're showing me that the seeds are in the apple. there's something to do with the Taurus energy, and there's within the pineal gland the frequency of self-knowing awareness of God residing within all of us all being masters of that, and that frequency igniting. Okay, and then they're bringing me to that ignition. Now I'm going to do a video on, there's a whole other realm of stuff that they've been telling me about, but I'm trying to piece it all together, and I don't want to bring it up here because I want to make sure that it's all all right before I do that. But it has something to do with the ignition. I'm getting my ears now blocking. That it has something to do with the ignition of life itself. And we have this capability within our pineal gland to restart, reboot, life itself, through becoming aware of who we are and how we feel about ourselves. Yes, it's it's really cool. And that's the end of my messages that came from before throughout the week that they were telling me. So this whole channeling is all to do with self-empowerment coming within, but getting a fuller understanding of not, they don't want us to be afraid of where this is going. And they want us to bring in peace within ourselves and no more confusion. Allow the confusion to just be. That brings peace, because it sounds crazy here, but every time our mind comes in, we think we have to think more of the problem in order to get rid of it. And that's not how it works, because when we think more of the problem in order to get rid of it, we're actually putting more focus on it and making it bigger. So, but when we accept the problem as it is, then we can see a path out of it. So it is within us, within allowing the confusion to just be. Okay, I don't know. My mind does not know all of the answers. So in order for me to find the answers, I need to just accept that. And then you come back to neutrality with yourself, which is matching the vibration of the universe. And then you can start to carve a new path. Now they're bringing me to when I found the 4-leaf clover. That's what I did. So when I went camping one day, because they had taught me that I'm the creator of my reality, I decided to put this into action. I decided to ground this and put it, try something. So when I was camping, I walked over the river. This is in Kenilworth in Australia. It's beautiful. I love this place. And then on the other side of the river is just this massive field where the cows were, in like one tree amongst just grass sort of thing. A tree was dead, by the way. Anyway, I just picture it, giving you a picture of the actual story. And I was walking on my own, and I was just standing there and going, well, hang on a sec. If I'm creator of my reality, why can't I create something? And they'd already taught me how to, first of all, they taught me how to change my mind, how to control my mind, how to change my mind. This all happened after I was led to digging up gold at the beach in the sand. And then they said to change your mind. And then they taught me how to still my mind. And they said, use that. So I went, okay, well, if I can still my mind enough, and in that stillness, nothing exists and everything exists all at the same time, then it's up to me and my decision or my choice as to what is going to happen next. And this is where magic comes from. So I ended up just sitting on, I was walking, and then I just said, I'm just going to sit down in amongst this field of grass, and I'm not even going to look. I'm going to sit down and close my eyes. And I did straight away. I mean, I can tell you the story, but this is honest. This is for real. Like, I've told other people this story, and they're like, oh, but you must have done this. You must have had a peep, or you must have looked. And I'm like, no, this is how I did it. I closed my eyes as soon as I sat down. I didn't look at anything around me. And then I picked a blade of grass, but first of all, I stilled my mind and I went, in this stillness, the only focus I'm going to have is that I'm going to pick a 4-leaf clover. And that's the only focus that I had. So I had an intention of picking a 4-leaf clover. I sat down and I stilled my mind. And then I just, as far as I knew, picked a blade of grass. I just picked something. And then I opened my eyes and here's this 4-leaf clover staring right back at me. And I'm like, oh my God, this is for real. So this is the magic of us finding stillness within ourselves. When we find that point of stillness, we can recreate anything. We can shift our reality. We can shift our story from that point of view, but we have to already know what we want to shift it into. So there's this a valuable sequence that's happening of humanity finding out their imagination, aligning with their authentic self, where their soul comes from, so that they can actually shift the story into something that they actually desire. Having control over their mind and their faculties, and not bringing in the fear and the depression and the sadness and all of that sort of stuff. There has to be a trust in oneself of being able to control their mind before they can actually graduate into this. And then there will be a coming together of understanding, of like-mindedness. So we're here, we're striving, we're waiting, we're wanting to know when this is all going to shift and all that sort of stuff. But it actually is going to come down to a sequence of events that's happening, and the sequence of events that's happening outside of us is literally waking us up, bad, good, indifferent, whatever it is. It's showing us, no, we don't want that story. We're taking our power back. We now know what we want because we now know what we don't want, and so it starts to shift everything. Yeah, full on this morning, guys. As usual, though, with me, isn't it? Let's see what else comes through. There will be it's interesting to note too, there will be a coming together. It's like grounding. It's like they're showing me there is this understanding of unity, of a connected web of unity coming together, of knowing what I want as groups, but also to logify that, to bring it, to ground it into this reality. Our logic has to agree with it as well, remember, because otherwise we're not here. We're in the etheric world and we're not actually grounding anything. And then this is all about grounding heaven on earth, bringing our utopia on earth. This is all about learning to do that, taking responsibility of our own lives and then moving forward with that. Syncing ourselves up with the vibrational meat of what we desire rather than what we don't. And then the pineal gland will click into that connection with other souls that might even not be, that are in higher frequencies, that we can get the wisdom coming through us. And it's not just wisdom, it's an understanding, it's a knowing, it's oh my God, it's beyond getting something right on an exam, like an A and a tick and all of that sort of stuff. It's beyond that. Oh yeah, I remember that tick. It's beyond that. It's this inner core knowing of self. And sometimes when we connect with these other beings and these higher frequencies, there's this inner core knowing of the power, of the magnificence of who we are, and the alignment of where our soul has been. And each and every one of us, we've had this different alignment of where our soul has been. And then we can start to help awaken up others as well through that alignment of ourselves, just by being authentic. And that's literally what I'm doing here now, is by being authentically me and not being afraid of what it looks like to the outside world. And then that ends up shifting others. And then it's more to do with me, it was more to do with self-value, self-empower, self-support that I had to shift at the end there. to be able to expand outwards even more, because it's that within our self-value of knowing, but also an alignment that's happening, and it's not just with me, it's with many. And it has to be many, and it will be many that are in different places all over the earth too, because that is the awareness of the spark of life, of consciousness, awakening to itself, of that humanity can actually shift the story into something more beautiful. So they're showing me the earth, and then there's these sparks of people's consciousness awakening to themselves all over the earth, which literally form another grid. So there's little grids of groups, dynamics coming together within in that, and then so forth around the earth. And then they're showing me like the bigger, like an outside of that, another grid of those that have held even more wisdom, or more knowing, or more something. So there's actual intricate grids that are happening on Earth, on Gaia herself, where we have the solid planet, which is like the energy that's all come into creating the solid planet, which comes from our own self-awareness of consciousness and what this actually is that we are in right here, right now. And then we have grids of where before it's like, because of the dormancy of humanity's consciousness, gave way to the physical locations on Gaia, meaning Pine Gap, Nevada, other places on Earth where the Mayans are and stuff, that ended up being taken over. Even in Egypt, the energy around that was taken over by a physical dominancy, and then that dominancy shut down humanity's consciousness connected to Gaia herself, although she was residing in many other fractions through animals and so forth that already knew their authentic self. But now when we align with her, we start to activate these other grids that are coming up. And those grids are more and more and more self-awareness of consciousness, of allowing other benevolent beings to be able to enter through that grid or that portal within our own self-consciousness. And then the connection that happens between us is an alignment of wisdom, of knowing, of understanding who we are. And humanity's consciousness then just awakens to this whole new story that we can, but we're in the process of understanding what is the story that we actually want, what is it that we don't want, so that we know that what we do want. So this is where we're at the moment. Yeah. Yes. So that's pretty full on. I think I'll leave it here, because there is another part to the story, but I want to make a video, like not live video to that, because I want to bring in some video footages of some things that they've brought me to an alignment of understanding this even more. And as well, I'm trying to integrate the wisdom that they're bringing through. So it has to do with the spark of life and where we're going. And what that actually means. So I love you guys heaps. I will leave it here because, yeah, I'm just my head's starting to spin a little bit too much. And yeah, I'm feeling off this planet at the moment. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Cherie. So good that you guys are supporting me. I really, really, really am grateful for that. And if you would like to comment below or something, just ends up helping and liking and subscribing or whatever it is. It ends up helping these messages get out to even more people, which is fantastic. But I am going to support myself and bring in some advertising. So that's my next step, is to advertise myself. They've gifted me the money to be able to do that. So love you guys heaps. Until next time. Bye.